What's up, guys? Welcome back to the BCMA podcast. This is episode number 3. It's your boy Lucky from Lucky's Muay Thai. And, I'm just happy to be here with y'all, man. I really appreciate all the support. I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of love. I'm so grateful for that, man. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I get to speak in this microphone and somebody's out there listening, man. So grateful. So on this episode, we're going to start it off with a little dedication. And then we're going to get into a little story time. I got to shout out some of these Muay Thai and kickboxing Floridians because they need it and deserve it. And then we're going to get into a conversation with my boy Stone Cold Steve Moxon out of Australia. This dude has 100+ kickboxing fights and he's a beast. Plus, he's a beautiful person and I cannot wait for that conversation. So, let's get into it. This episode right here is dedicated to Master Mirdad Moyadi. I believe I pronounced that last name right. Master Mirdad is a lifelong martial artist. He was a yogi. And more importantly, man, he was my first promoter. And I have nothing but good things to say about him. I think a lot of people might have differentiating opinions about, how he promoted or whatever they may think. But the truth of the matter is some people that fought on his cards or in the UFC or ended up in the UFC. Some people became world champions. Some people became amateur champions. And he definitely impacted people's lives in Florida when it comes to Muay Thai and kickboxing. And he deserves his love, man. So I'm not sure if they gave him his flowers when he was alive, but I'm about to give him his flowers right now. So
story time.
All right. Before I actually ever fought, I was training constantly, 5+ years. I got a job teaching kickboxing, and my version of what I thought Muay Thai was at the time. And all I wanted to do was become an instructor. I wanted to own my own dojo and I wanted to teach. Along the way, and as I started teaching, people started asking me like, when was your last fight? Are you fighting? Who are you fighting next? When are you fighting? Like all of these things started to sort of wear on me because authenticity was always like really important to me. And because of that, I started getting a little anxiety about it. So I woke up in the middle of the night at one point and just started going through searches on AOL. Yeah, man, it's a long time ago. And I found a few places. I called them in the morning. Nobody showed me any love. But when I called Master Mirdad, he told me, hey, I'm doing Muay Thai Classic. I'd love to have you on the show. And in fact, he said, Lloyd, I'd love to have you on the show. And that was it. So I called a buddy of mine. I was like, I'm going to fight. I need you to come up to Tampa with me and just give me water in the corner. Can you do that? And he was like, oh, let's do it. So we rented a car. I told a bunch of my buddies that drove up and I got set up with an opponent that had a little experience. And I ended up winning the fight. It was beautiful, man. And ever since that time, Master Mirdad and I stayed in touch constantly. He would just call me out of the blue. Hey, Lloyd, I'm working on this. I'm working on that. What do you have going on? And I loved it, man. We just were real cool. 6 months, every, few months after he stopped promoting shows. He also had a lot of pro shows going on. And I actually got to participate in one, which was really, really cool. So, that being said, big shout out to Master Mirdad for putting me in my first show with not knowing anything about what I was going to do and having a friend with me to give me water and winning the fight. And then having my other friends that were watching as I was super excited tell me, you got a knot on your eye. You need to go probably do something with that. I was like this. I won! Anyway. Shout out to Master Mirdad. Much love and respect. And that's it for story time.
Story time.
That's a perfect segue into shout outs to kickboxing and Muay Thai in the state of Florida. When I was starting out, there weren't a lot of shows and not a lot of gyms as far as I know. So I'm really grateful that ISKA has been sanctioning some events down here. Shout out to Darwin over at Komodo Training Center, my man Philip Ferreira. They've been promoting shows for a lot of the amateurs down here. We don't want to be just relegated to doing doing Muay Thai or kickboxing on MMA shows. And we actually need a rule set change as well, but we'll get into that another day. But big shout out to all the Muay Thai, kickboxing people that train, and especially the crews. Big shout out to Crew Dominic up at Elite in Muay Thai. I believe he's up in Daytona, actually a couple of gyms. Tampa Muay Thai, Crew Dave does beautiful violence down here in Miami. Shout out to Crew Dave. What's up, man? Jake Pass over at Wolfpack. And then Bushido Muay Thai has been holding it down as well. So, we love MMA. We watch MMA. A lot of us train jiu-jitsu and train a little bit of MMA as well, or have over the years. So this is not a slight to MMA. This is more of us getting some respect and some love, man. I love all my kickboxing and Muay Thai practitioners. We're sort of the outcasts of the combat community in a lot of ways, because for whatever reason, we just haven't caught on in the US, but overseas kickboxing and obviously Muay Thai are huge. And that being said, we're going to have a guest on today. My man, Stone Cold Steve Moxon, is going to be on the show, and he's going to talk about kickboxing in Australia and how that's all set up and how that all runs. And I want to compare it to how it's done down here in Florida. I love doing what I do, and I think we just deserve a little bit more respect. So much love out there to all my Muay Thai kickboxing practitioners. Y'all are loved from the BCMA podcast, and of course, Lucky's Muay Thai in Miami, North Miami, that is 15423 Northeast 21st Avenue. So I got to shout myself out as well. You know what I'm saying? Here's one of the things I think has been a little bit overlooked, because it's such a huge issue. During the pandemic, a lot of people clearly have lost their lives. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people have lost their businesses. And we need to talk about small businesses a little bit, because I know during this pandemic, a lot of us have bought obviously enough things from Amazon. We probably need to support small businesses at a higher rate than we may have done in the past. A lot of people lost their businesses because, as a small business, when you're building over the first 3-5 years, you really don't have funds to take care of yourself most of the time unless you have huge backing. A person like me, I didn't have a ton of backing. I've been, sort of pushing things along, and maintaining to sort of create a base so that I can have success in the long run. There are a lot of gyms that didn't make it. There are a lot of small businesses in general that didn't make it. I'm just going to add that if you're going back to your gym and it's a small independently run gym, you should consider maybe purchasing a 3-month package, a 6-month package, a year package if you can afford it, or even asking if you can help with supplies. Anything you can do to help push the small businesses back up to a way where they're able to sustain themselves, as we get back to work and back into society and things start moving again, because some of your favorite places to go are the small businesses. You like the mom and pop spots because they love you back, because they listen to what you say, because they ask you how your family's doing, because they watch your kids grow up, because they give your kids a piece of candy for free, or because they actually care. So when you get back out there, make sure you stop at some small businesses, say what's up, show some love. And if you can, take care of your small, independently run gyms, and they'll take care of you as they always do. So you are loved. Anyway, on to my man, Stone Cold Steve Moxon. Let's talk some kickboxing, man. Let's talk some kickboxing, for real. This dude is a monster, but also a really sweet dude. So here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is my man, Steve Moxon, multi-time world champion kickboxer. This dude right here made, for me, one of my favorite moments in kickboxing. No joke. A little quick story time. I went to Glory 11 in Chicago, and it was super exciting. The whole show was exciting. I was excited to see Tyrone Spong get the rematch and the whole thing. But you were probably one of the most exciting fights, starting out getting that night really going. And during that fight, I was screaming to my friend, somebody's going to go. Somebody's going to go. And you hit him with that right hook, and he went. My man, we jumped out of our seats. Your whole team jumped out of their seats. You jumped around. It was crazy, because for that moment when you guys stepped out of the ring, for us as fans, and for me at that time, I was an amateur Muay Thai fighter. For me, it was just beautiful, because you acknowledged us right away for being as excited. Your corner was excited, and you guys handed us your sweatshirts off of your backs. And to me, that was like one of the most amazing things, and I super, super appreciate it. So it's an honor to have you on, Mr. Moxon.
Thank you very much, Lucky. I appreciate that you've got me on from across the world. and we
Yeah,
can
man.
make this happen. I really appreciate it, and I look forward just to being open with you, and I love sharing moments. I love sharing the excitement with everybody that's keen to come along with the ride on the ride with me.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you get started?
I started kickboxing when I was 18, so it would have only been a couple of weeks before I got my license. Because in Australia, you can have your license when you turn 18. So a couple of weeks prior, I remember I attended my first ever kickboxing class just from a friend. There was a girl. She goes, "Hey, my friend's dad owns a kickboxing gym," and it was in a shed at the back of his mechanic shop. It was just a shed at the back with a homemade ring and a bit of carpet.
So
And so I went along and I trained, and I felt like I was instantly addicted. I grew up in a country where there was like you play Australian rules football or you play cricket, and that's about it. So doing something like this was just totally different, and I picked it up very fast. And the main thing was, a year or two before I started kickboxing, I joined the Australian Army.
oh wow.
So I was quite heavy when I was about 16, 17 years old. I was a bit of a solid guy. I weigh what I weigh now when I was 17.
Get out.
So I was a bit heavy, and I lost the 10 kilograms, which is about 5 or 6 pounds. I lost when I was away for the army, and then I come back and I started training, and within 8 months I lost another 5 or 6 pounds, and that's when I had my first ever fight. Just 8 months after training.
8 months. Do they have? Is it an amateur? Do you have like amateur program there, and then move to professional?
No. So when I started kickboxing, there was no such thing as an amateur board. It was just you wear shin guards for your first few fights. Right. That was it. So technically it's amateur, right? Because we're all beginners.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So then the rules were the shin guards come off after 5 fights, or if you and the other team agree to it.
Right. Yeah.
That's
something we need here, man.
Yeah, well, and now there's an amateur board. So now there's a proper amateur MMA, amateur kickboxing, amateur Muay Thai. And everybody is fighting now. Everybody can give it a go.
Man, you guys, there's a few of you. I won't name everybody, but, obviously yourself, John Wayne Parr, like there's a bunch of trailblazers, if you will. And it's really nice to see that it's growing there. Overall, everybody's getting, like you said, amateur, professional, everybody's separated and working their way up. I like that.
Yeah. So, like I went, my first ever fight was with the shin guards, and my second fight was on, what would you call it? We call it like, not pay-per-view TV, but like cable TV. Cable TV.
Yeah, for sure.
So my second fight was on a cable TV sports channel. So I agreed with my opponent that we won't wear shin guards, and I knocked him out.
You have to take them off for the.
Exactly right, because we wanted to look good, for TV. And then from there, I just kept going. I was lucky. I went 16 fights undefeated. So I say I was the world champion of the Western Suburbs. That's why I was.
That's great.
So that's when I started to make a name. But then, man, I come from a small country town, so when I was fighting, I would sell for the promoter 100 tickets. You know what I mean? And the promoter loved it. So then I said,
tell my guys all the time, if they want to really grow and get these spots on these cards, they're going to have to get out and sell some tickets, put some asses in the
it's hard. Yeah, which I was able to change that that mentality when I got more professional, because I said, hey, if you want me to fight the best in the world, you can sell the tickets. I'll fight, because everybody was coming to watch just because I was on the poster.
Right. That's great. Man.
But yeah, I had to hustle. You have to when you first start out, and I had local companies give me $100 to wear a hat and stuff like that.
Sponsorships.
I did what I had to do. But,
I'm so glad you're saying this, because I try to explain it to the younger guys that it's not whether or not it is whether or not you can fight and all of those things, but it's also whether or not you have personality, you can get out and get people to come and see you. Because without people coming to see you, it's sort of irrelevant whether or not you can fight or not. If there's nobody in the seats, the promoter won't have you back.
Exactly right. And I try and really tell people that there's more to fighting than just fighting. You have to know how to speak. You have to know how to do it. Yeah. So as I was saying, yeah, these young fighters get their chance like on UFC, pay-per-view, and then they're doing the interview and every second word is they're dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah, this is true. I had a fighter, man. I had a fighter that was, he's coming up and a real monster. I think he had 5 amateur fights and I think 4 first-round finishes, but he's 6'6", fights at 185, just destroys everybody. When you talk to him regular, great personality, but give him that mic after a finish or after a win, I had to pull him aside and just tell him, listen, man, you're trying to gain fans. You're trying to gain people, not push people away. So right now you need to be really pushing to get people to follow you and come see you. Invite them. Don't push them away.
Exactly right. I think people have they I don't know why they feel like their role model is Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. Let them be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they don't. The thing about that as well is I think that it's hard to understand that those guys are that way, but they also have put in so much work and achieved so much. It's not to say that they should be talking that way because they really necessarily shouldn't in front of they're trying to be bigger than.
Yes.
But everybody's not Floyd. Everybody's not Conor. Everybody's
exactly
not.
Right. They back it up. Exactly. They back it up.
Yeah. Why go out there and do all that and then get knocked out in your next fight?
Exactly right.
And you're only 3 or 4 fights in.
Exactly. So, I started just off 8 months experience, and my original coach, he was very he's like a hard head, He's very tough. So he was very arrogant almost. So I didn't want to ask, hey, because how these days you would hear it. People train for 2 weeks, or before they even start training, they say, I want to be a fighter. And you just want to bang your head against the wall.
They have no idea.
Yeah, so I would never say anything. I just trained really hard, really hard, really hard. I knew that my coach would see that. And then one day he turns around and said, Steve, I think you're ready. Would you like to fight? And I said, yes. It's up to the coach, not up to you to put your name on the board for the next upcoming event. It doesn't work like that.
That's right.
I say people want to fight these days for the new Facebook profile picture. They don't actually know what it means to be a fighter.
They just want that you said that.
Yeah, so they just want to fight because they want that picture with their gloves on.
You gotta have the picture. You
got to yell stuff. It's crazy.
If you happen to get a win, you can jump on the cage and wave at your friends.
Exactly. There's more too, I was able to turn my hobby, which I started to be kickboxing, I turned it into a career because I realized I studied by watching people. I studied by watching YouTube. YouTube was pretty new when I started fighting. And I was watching these people and saying, is he the best in our state? I reckon I could beat him. And they're going to give me $500 to fight him? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And then bang, I knock him out. I say, he's the best in Australia? I reckon I could beat him. I beat him and I would get $1,000.
Yeah.
So that's how I backed myself. And then, I had some good opportunities. There,
what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment, easy. I knocked out cold in the 3rd round Bruce the Preacher McPhee. And this was just after he was on the Contender Asia. And just 6 or 8 weeks after he beat John Wayne Parr.
Whoa.
So then I fought Bruce McPhee in his hometown of Brisbane. So I travelled to Brisbane and I fought in his hometown on the biggest Muay Thai kickboxing show in the country. And I knocked him out cold in 3 rounds. And that was I was young, I was hungry. And in my interview before the fight, I said, I'm going to prove that I'm younger, faster, fitter, and stronger. And that's what I did, That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I love it. Those are amazing moments when you know in your heart something and maybe not everybody else knows, and then you go and achieve it, and it shows everyone what you already knew. Yeah,
it's like, I say you can hit the bag as hard, you can spar, hit the pads and make the loudest noises you want when you're hitting the pads, But if you're mentally not ready when you step in that ring, you know, that is everything, because I've been on both sides. You know, I've been in the ring and felt like I don't want to be here. I'm thinking about my daughter and stuff like that. But yeah,
Same.
when you're in the ring and everything is in place, it's the best. You know, nothing can beat you.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. I love that. What's your day to day like now?
Yeah, man. So you know, with everything going on with you know, the restrictions, that is all getting lifted in about 4 weeks. There will still be restrictions on numbers in our gym, but the last 3 months have been my wife and I running everything from home.
Yeah,
Running everything online. We've had you know, about 70 loyal members stick with us,
that's great.
and we've been able to make something with it. We you know, like I've got the key to my gym, you know, but I haven't been to my gym to film workouts because I want to be in with it with everybody. I'm filming in my backyard, you know. I'm filming in my front yard
Yeah, I saw
workouts.
that.
I'm filming with one dumbbell because that's all we have. I don't have a boxing bag at home, yet I'm able to teach technical boxing classes to 20 people.
I
You
love it,
know,
man.
so
I really do.
it's hard. It took time to really adapt to it. It took time for me and my wife to adapt to it and work together in the sense of how we're going to time when we film, how we're going to time when our son is asleep, but we have to pump it
Right.
out, you know. So
Are
yeah,
you
it's fun, you know.
shooting videos with everybody live, or are you also shooting recorded videos?
Yeah, so we're releasing 3 workouts per day. 3 workouts. That was my wife's crazy idea, and so
I was
three
going to ask
workouts
you
per
about
day.
that too.
Yeah, and so yeah, but no, so it'll be like basically 2 pre-recorded workouts per day,
Okay.
and we do a live one most days. So this morning we went for a run, but we had set up. We have who's a member. She studies yoga. So we contacted her about 6 weeks ago and said, hey, do you want to learn how to teach yoga? So now she's teaching a live workout every Wednesday morning. You know, so we're giving her that opportunity
Wow, that's
to
great.
learn how to teach, and we went out for a run. You know.
That's beautiful. So your wife's a huge part of the business. You guys are in this together.
Yeah. Yeah, I say she's the backbone of the business. You know, she has great experience with marketing, and she's great online. So everything you see online is her. All the amazing words, because the way she writes and everything she puts on paper is from her mind and from her experience, from what she's learned. And you know, I say I do all the hands-on stuff where like I teach classes and you know, I pay the bills
Right.
on the computer, but man, she's the backbone. So you know, we're doing well. We're enjoying
Yeah,
what we're
I love
doing,
that,
and
man.
we look forward to getting back into the gym and being able to expand on what we're doing. And this is a great time to change things up. I'm sure you're feeling the same way. It's like, okay, it's treated like it's a new year. Okay, we're reopening. We're starting again.
We went in and hung some different bags and do a little remodeling, little painting, and little stuff like that. So we're ready as well.
Yeah. So just before we closed, literally 5 weeks before we closed, maybe less, I invested in a whole new bag rack. We're in a real cool, like an old heritage building, and now I've got all brand new Fairtex bags, and now I have 17 bags hanging down from from custom made bag racks. So I feel like, I don't know how it works, but we so now when we're ready to open, everybody can have their own bag, because we're only allowed to have 10 people per class while the restrictions are on. So so we're having to work all that out and work out booking systems and stuff like that, because we're very simple. We like, you don't have to book in for a class, come and train, but now we have to because the government has said, you know, only 10 people per class.
We did the same thing. I like people just to come in, but now we have the booking set up as well.
Yeah. So, you know, I feel like if we can be on the front foot and almost beat people to the punch, because in our town there's a lot of gyms. So, you know, we just need to be on top of things, and we feel that you know, a lot of the other local gyms can follow our lead. You know, we'll be there first. They can follow our lead.
That's great, man.
It's fun.
Yeah, I love that smile.
We were talking about it just yesterday. My wife says, you know, people say they don't want to step on your toes, and we say we'll break your foot.
break your foot. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna steal that. All right. So what do you want to have? What do you have planned? Like, what are the goals over the next couple of years?
So over the next couple of years, look, you know what? I'm only 32, you know, and
you're young. I'm about to be 48.
Well, how old?
48.
Oh, no way. No, yeah, seriously?
Bro. Seriously.
48.
Yeah.
Man, can you send me what you're drinking and eating or what?
Kickboxing and Muay Thai, man.
Oh man, that's cool. That's cool. But you know, so look, and you'll notice it, right? So the times that I was fighting in glory, I wasn't in the best position in my life, to be honest with you. I was going through a marriage breakup and I was getting offered good money for these fights, but also almost be thrown in to be bashed almost because I wasn't there mentally. But if you'll notice this, look at all the top guys in one championship. They're still the same top guys that were in glory 7 years ago. There's no new fighters. There's no new up and coming young guys. You know why? Because I don't know why. Well, why? Why is it? Because you know what I feel like, and it sounds rude. Maybe they're feeling, these young guys are feeling a bit privileged, like they can just, you know. But these guys like Robin Van Roosmalen, Andy Sauer is still around. You got Sittachai, you got Jodson Clay, Borkow, all these guys that are still there because they know what hard work is, you know?
I believe so. And I also think that because of MMA, everybody's turned a different direction. And even like the kickboxing or Muay Thai that they want to say is in MMA, there's a very few that are actually MMA, Muay Thai or kickboxing fighters that transfer their skills, learn jiu-jitsu, learn wrestling. They're mostly just sticking it all together. So we're not seeing high level strikers. I mean,
you're right,
man. And then money.
Yeah, but everybody thinks there's more money in boxing, or they think there's more money in MMA. There's not. I can tell you, I was earning 5 times more than any Muay Thai fighter in the country. And I was just I stuck to my guns, kickboxing. That's all I was good at. That's all I learned. I didn't try and be a Muay Thai fighter. I only knew kickboxing, you know, so I stuck with it. And I was making a living from doing that because I promoted myself in the way where my fighting did the talking. You know, that's why I say these young guys feel more entitled. They feel like they can just, you know, train for a few weeks and be champions and look the part.
I'll give you an example from here. The amateur scene, a few years ago, I had a promoter friend of mine, and he told me, he said, look, man, I'm moving to New York to promote amateur fights and do fights up there because I've literally had amateurs here say, well, what are you going to do for me? What are you doing for me?
Yeah,
you know, how much are you going to pay me? And he's like, I'm giving you an opportunity. You've had one fight. What do you mean? What am I going to do for you? That's what I'm doing. So a little entitlement.
Yeah, I've put on 6 promotions myself in my local area where I grew up, and I was having guys 1 or 2 fights asking, you know, for free tickets for their sponsors. They've got more sponsors than they've had fights, you know.
Right.
And I always stand by the fact that I've never had a major sponsor. Everything is myself. That jumper you're wearing, I paid for that. No, there's no logos on that jumper, you know, man. There's no logos on the jumper because I don't owe anything to anybody. That's me. I paid for that. I worked hard for that. That was my investment, you know?
And it sounds very familiar because it's basically the same here, man. Everything that I've had, it's been working all night at a bar, investing in the daytime in training, or now investing in the gym over and over, and everything through hard work. Nobody's really come and like sponsored me and given me like, how you're going to do all of this and we're going to give you this and back you. So I
feel like that's why, you know, like it's like shit. I'm still a bit hungry, you know, because only because I've had time to reflect on myself, to grow as a person, as a man, as a father, and really look at the fight game and go, man, there's nobody new coming up. There's no one, like, I can hang with all these guys.
For sure you can.
You know, and I feel like, man, I know that I can do it. I believe in myself. I know how I was when I was losing. You know, out of my 66 pro fights, I've had 16 losses, and I know why I lost these fights. You know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I've never been knocked out cold. I've never been knocked out. I've never been kicked in the head and been laid on my back. You know.
You know what's funny about that is I haven't either, and I didn't have nearly as many fights. But when I watch people get knocked out, I always
put your hands up.
I kind of go, "Oh man, that could have been me." I'm so glad I kind of got, you know. But listen, so are you talking to one right now? Are you in guys in conversation?
I am. Although I did my video for the TV show. This is breaking news to you
I was
only.
about to say,
nobody
breaking
knows.
News?
No, nobody knows this, man. So I'm in talks with one at the moment. I put through my pitch for a multi-fight contract, and it's a funny thing because I'm like, oh man, being on the TV show, the Apprentice might be easier, but when I look at the fight game, I go, man, there's nobody new, so maybe I can just, give it it's like my last redemption, Yeah, man, my chance.
Just go for it.
So, yeah, the hardest thing for me and throughout my whole career has always been my weight. I love to eat. I love to drink a beer. I love to eat a lot of food. So that's probably the hardest thing. But I need to treat myself like a professional, not just when I'm in the ring. I need to treat myself like a professional all around, and feel like that can be a change that I can evolve with and make myself stronger by just treating myself better.
I have to tell you, okay, so I've been obviously, following you around a little bit, I mean, ever since the sweatshirt, I've been like, okay, that's
cool, man, cool.
For real. People talking like, yo, Steve Moxon over the years. Yeah. And since I've been following you on Instagram, I've been really inspired, man. I'm not, and honestly, I see you doing the classes. I see you and your wife together. I see with the kid, and I'm like, I'm a big family man type of person. So
yeah, cool.
To me, to watch you do everything you've accomplished in kickboxing, and then to have your family and your family run, your business, and then also looking to run it back again. Yeah. I can really relate, and I just want to say I super appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I feel like I'm definitely not here saying I want to be how I was when I was 23 and 24 because I'm not that person. I've evolved since then, So I want to be the strongest version of who I am now and prove that, who I am now is strong enough to be in front of these top guys that are in one championship. I don't want to be one of those guys in one championship that gets signed to help boost somebody else's career.
As an opponent, right? As an opponent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't want to be that.
And I don't know that you could do that. You'd spoil a lot. They wouldn't allow you to do it.
I feel like, my style upsets a lot of other people's style because I'm not there to play Muay Thai. I don't play kickboxing. We're there to fight, And that's the thing. When you watch somebody's, man, if you watch everyone who I've fought, there's no use in me naming everyone, but every time I watch them on YouTube, if you watch everybody's highlight reel, you would be scared. You'd go, shit, I'm not going to fight him. Look how good he is. That's the highlight reel. My style will upset your style, and you won't be able to do that. So nobody has been able to do their highlight reel finishes on me because I don't allow them.
Yeah,
I use angles and move. Or just if all else fails, put your damn hands up, and you're good.
Hands down, hands up. Yeah. For sure.
Why are people still getting kicked square in the face? Brother,
they like to reach.
Yeah,
they like to reach out.
Yeah.
That's that's a thing, right? They reach. Yeah.
Beyond, so when I was on the world scene, beyond Mike Zambides, I was the shortest in the world. I'm only 169 centimeters. What's that? 5'7.5" or something. So I'm short, and then I use that as my advantage almost because they have to get close to me, but I know they don't want to get too close because I'm strong with my hands. I know that I relied on my hands. When I started knocking people out with my hands, I started to rely on it a bit too much. So I want to evolve as a fighter too and go back to kickboxing 101, punch, low kick, punch, low kick. And just basic kickboxing. The person who taught me about the basic kickboxing is just watching Andy Sauer over and over and over.
Andy Sauer is
yeah. Well, do you know? Not many people know this because this fight isn't on YouTube. But I fought Andy Sauer in Japan in Tokyo on 7 days' notice, 1 week's notice, about 6-7 years ago. He beat me on points, but I fought shootboxing rules. I got a phone
Oh, I
call.
gotta see it. I gotta see it.
I've never seen it, man. I'll send you a photo to prove that I was there. But yeah, I've never seen the fight because for some reason, I don't know why. You know, every time I fight people, after the fight, it's always because I upset their rhythm. I don't make them look good. Even if they beat me, I don't make them look good. They always say, "Oh, I didn't have my best fight. I didn't have my best fight,"
right.
and then I can't find the footage anywhere. So I've never seen that footage, but I will send you the picture to prove that I was there.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, man, tell me about it. But yeah, I fought him on 7 days' notice, and I lost in the 7 days. I still remember I was young, so it was easy to lose the weight, and I was 9 kilos. So what's that? 2.2 pounds to a kilo. It was like I lost like 17 pounds in 1 week, and then I fought. But it was cool. Fighting in the Tokyo Dome in Japan.
You fought in Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. It was cool. It was like thousands of people in this big dome, and the crowd was like sort of loud, but then just quiet. It was weird. It was cool.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So to bring it back around, just real quick, back to Glory 11.
Yeah.
I rewatched that fight.
Yeah.
And the thing that I got from rewatching it was everything that you just said, but something you didn't say. And you kind of said it, but is that you were super tough, man. Because the kid you were fighting was a lot taller than you.
Yeah.
And he was throwing everything but the kitchen sink. But you never wavered, man. I never saw you get hit and your eyes, and I never saw any stumbling, none of that. And I think as it went on, he didn't have anything left to give that was substantial enough to do anything.
That's right. And from the very start, I've always said, right, people say, well, how do you win and how do you have that determination to keep going? I always talk about poker face. When you get punched in the face, if you look to the ceiling and go, holy shit, don't show them that you've been punched because that's nothing, And the other thing is, if I'm keeping at a high pace, you're trying to keep up with me, and eventually I'm going to overtake you.
Yeah.
And eventually your best isn't good enough because I'm just going to keep pushing forward. Don't be afraid to look silly. Yeah. 5 out of 20 punches might miss, or 5 out of 10 punches might miss. But I don't dwell on the fact that I missed or I did something wrong. I just have to keep going. Yeah. It's not about who cares how you look if you throw a big hook and miss. Don't worry. I
tell them all the time, do not pose for the picture. If it's good or bad.
That's right.
Because the next picture you're going to pose for, you're going to be on your back looking up.
Exactly right, So I feel like those sides of fighting, that mentality, understanding that fighting is not a beauty contest. Doesn't matter about how good your abs look or how good the Thai oil is, how much Thai oil you have on your body. It's not a beauty contest, that taught me a lot. Look at every Dutch fighter, every top Dutch fighter. They don't even have a 6-pack, But they're tough as nails, They'll knock you out. They're tough. So that's it. That's not a beauty contest,
Yeah, I think the Nick and Nate Diaz kind of put it in, or Nick Diaz, I think, put it in perspective in MMA a long time ago when he was like, I don't know why everybody's trying to, do all this stuff. We're cage fighters. We're fighting. I don't know why everybody's putting on this sort of facade and this fakeness when, we're about to fight. So,
that's right. I noticed early on in my career, and look, it gets harder as your opponents get better and better.
For sure.
But I noticed early on in my career that people were standing in front of me and they were playing Muay Thai. They're doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go,
all right.
Throw 10 punches, and then I'd knock people out and go, why are they standing in front of me and doing this and waiting? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's a fight. You're not going to, it's a fight no matter what. It's a brawl. If all else fails, just start swinging, man. And the fittest, be fit, be strong, be mentally strong, but the fittest often wins, Who can sustain that pace.
One of the most beautiful things you can do. I mean, it sounds weird for people that don't do it, but it is grungy and grimy and all of those things, but it's also one of the most beautiful things that you can do ever.
Yeah, and that's why, like Muay Thai, I think a lot of the big shows have gone to 3 rounds because we love the style and the art of Muay Thai. I love watching it. I would much rather watch that than two scrappy beginners, hooking at
Yeah,
each
for
other
sure.
and missing everything. I love watching Muay Thai, but that 3 rounds allows that pace to be that little bit higher,
Yes.
and you don't have any chance to sort of warm into it. When I
Right.
was fighting on the big shows, like Glory, I fought all over China. I fought there about 10 times on Kunlun, WLF, EMI Legends. I fought on all them shows. One tip that I always have for people is you need to come out of the back rooms almost sweating because you've only got 3 rounds. And if you use the first round to get
Warm up.
warm, you've already lost. You've only got 2 rounds left. So you can't afford to throw the first round and get warmed into it because when you get hit, that's when you go down because you're still cold.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing
Solid
I've
warm
learned.
up is so necessary, I think.
And Glory, the first Glory show I fought on against Jordan Watson, I had no idea. I come out, it was in a rush because you know how it is at a local show. You have the auction. Do you have auctions at your shows? They're selling like a framed picture.
Oh no.
Okay, so at our shows with the promoter gets in the ring and thanks all the sponsors, and then you're fighting, and I'm the main event. So I'm the last fight of the night, and then after this fight, they've got the auctions. They're selling like a Floyd Mayweather glove, stuff
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
They do that, and oh my god! So you sort of get warm and you go down. You get warm, then you get cold. You just need to get up and stay warm. So when I fought on Glory. Glory 5. It was Glory 5 against Jordan Watson in London. I was sitting in the rooms, and the next minute a guy comes in and says, Steve Moxon, you're on. You need to go downstairs. You're on in 10 minutes. I had no gloves on. I didn't have my shorts on. So I rushed. I went out in the ring, and that whole fight was like a blur to me. I can't remember.
Wow.
I was just out there. I fought and left, and I was like, oh, is that it? So I learned when I really wanted to prove myself the next fight on Glory, which was Reese McAllister in Chicago, I knew that I need to get ready early, wrap my hands early, get rid of my phone, get rid of every distraction, and just be in the zone because it happens quick for TV. Bang, 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 fight after fight. There's no mucking around. There is no speeches. There is no breakdance crew that comes on after the next fight.
Yeah, it showed, man. It showed for sure.
So it was all a learning curve, and still learning. That's the thing. I'm always still learning.
Same.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much. I find new things every day, all the time.
How do you find it with your gym, trying to get in your own training in between, or do you feel like do you join in with classes, or does it, so some days I will be like, okay, I'll train in the afternoon. And then the afternoon comes around, and I go, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow.
Well, my students can attest to this.
Yeah.
I am very, very hands-on for the most part. If there is an odd number, I'm the fill-in always.
Yeah.
And, I've been known to do things like hold pads for 21 people straight, 3 rounds each, and then finish that, and then spar 4 or 5 people for 3 rounds each after that. And I got to be involved. Secretly in the back of my head, I would like to go and just have, one fight in Thailand or one more something. I don't feel like, I got everything I really wanted. I got most of it, but I just want to go. Yeah. I feel like I just want to do it one more time. I'm in really good shape, and for the most part, and I train all the time. So, if Mike Tyson can get in shape at 53.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm sure there's lots of local shows.
No.
Is there where you are? No, there's not?
No, man. This is an MMA-flooded community. In fact,
gotcha.
The whole first part of this podcast talks about, respect for the Muay Thai and kickboxing community in Florida, because we've never had a lot of shows. It's always been a few shows, and then once MMA got here.
Yeah, gotcha. So everybody always asks me, why don't you fight MMA? Because I'm small, I'm strong. And it's like, oh, that's where the money's at. But it's like, you know what? I'm making enough fighting doing kickboxing, and the big shows of kickboxing, and these days there's 17-year-old kids that'll kick my ass because they've done MMA since they were 5 years old. You know,
for sure.
the MMA fights. Yeah, stand up with me, and I'm sure I'll knock you out. But get me to the ground, and then what? It's MMA. It's not a boxing fight.
Right.
You know,
it requires a lot of training, man. A lot of stuff has to change, and
you know, and then cool, you might knock out your first couple of opponents standing up, but then they figure you out and take you to the ground, and then what?
Right.
So
that's for real.
I feel like I can't be bothered learning a new sport. I'm really good at kickboxing, so I just might stick with kickboxing, you know?
Listen, I agree with you, man.
In between.
I, for one, know that you're going to be in one, and I can't wait to see it.
In some way, might be on The Apprentice or might be fighting.
Either way, man. Either way. And I think you're deserving of it. As I said, you're a trailblazer, man. And here we are talking all these years later, and we're talking because of it wasn't just the fight and all of that. It was because of who you and your team were. I'm not sure if those guys are still part of your team, but you guys came out and you responded to us being excited that you guys, you put on a show, and that kind of thing sticks with me, and it always has. So I'm super stoked, man. I'm a huge fan, and I'm excited that you were able to come on, man. It means a lot. Cheers, man. It's it's like I said, it's all those little things that happen outside of the ring that are the memories that stick with me, you know. I don't care about having a big entourage follow me around the world for fights, but when I build a fan base everywhere I go, that's what I love about it, because they remember me because of who I am, not because of the persona I was trying to be while I was there. Right. I was just being me. Yeah. You know, absolutely. I'm not acting as this crazy fighter who swears and pushes people at the weigh-in. I hate that stuff. I love it down there, and that's what people want to follow. You know, they want to follow because they like you as a person, and hopefully knock somebody out. Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much, brother. I need you to do me a favor and tell everybody where they can find you. Sure. Check out at Stone Cold Steve Moxon on Instagram, which you follow, and also my gym, the Training Room Geelong. I think I've got my t-shirt on. The Training Room Geelong is where I'm from, and I just want to be the best I can be, whether it be in the ring, out the ring, in business, and I look forward to always trying to learn. And I think my wife has a big part to play in that, because she's always on level 100, you know. So I enjoy trying to learn and be better, and for my community, and and for my family, my kids. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Just so you know, my girlfriend has confiscated this. I got it back only for the podcast. Cool. Everybody loves a big hoodie to put on. Yeah, man, for sure. Listen, I appreciate you so much. Let's stay in touch. And we talked about doing, a seminar or something like that. Yeah. I'm down for that. And then one of these days, we shall meet again, either here or in Australia or somewhere else. And I'm looking forward to that day. Cheers. Thanks so much. Cheers, brother. Peace. That's the man, Stone Cold Steve Moxon, y'all. I'm looking for him. He's coming back. Thank you, brother. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with the man, Steve Moxon. That is Stone Cold Steve Moxon out in Australia. I had a great time. I was sweating the entire interview because I refused to take off this sweatshirt that he gave me, 6 years ago or something like that. And I'm super appreciative of it. Listen, if you like the podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your buddies, pass it around. The gym will be open next week. I believe it's June 1st. And we'll be having you in there getting it in. So drop me an email, hit me with a DM, or just drop a comment, tell me what you think about the podcast, and we are going to be making it better and better and better guests. So stay tuned. You are loved. Peace.